So welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit about differentiation axes. And we can kind of group our different axes into three main categories. We've got tangible differentiation. We have intangible. And you've got total customer responsiveness. Okay. So these are all different ways that you could differentiate a product. So under tangible differentiation, this typically looks at the material needs of the customer. So for example, these are usually observable product characteristics. You can look at them and know immediately, right? Think of things like size, color, the materials used, plastic versus organic materials. How does the product or service actually perform? Is there any special packaging that makes it different? Do you use a paper carton for your shampoo, or do you just sell the shampoo in the bottle? And are there any complementary services that go with the product? So for example, if you buy a car, you get a free warranty, right? I know here in downtown LA, supposedly if you buy a Mercedes, you get free car washes for as long as you have the car. That's kind of an advantage of a tangible differentiator. Now, intangible differentiation looks at symbolic needs. And these are very difficult to exactly articulate what they are. They're usually very subjective, they're very unobservable, and they could be things like you buy something because it helps you with your image, your status, makes you seem exclusive, gives you some sort of an identity, things like that. For example, if you were to buy a Porsche, right, people make certain assumptions about you. That'd be an example of intangible differentiation. They'd make different assumptions about a Porsche driver than they would, for example, a driver of a Hyundai Sonata. Or it might be, for example, when I was a kid, the cool kids were the ones that had the He-Man lunchboxes. That symbolized cool kid. And then the other kids like me that had the brown paper bag for lunch, that was less cool. Okay? So certain things have kind of a status or make you feel a certain way or make people assume certain things about you. So these are what we call symbolic needs. Then perhaps you could call total customer responsiveness the act of love, right? And that's when the differentiation is not just about the product, it's about the relationship between the supplier and customer. So I think I mentioned in my last video, my parents like to go to this Italian market in Buffalo, and they like that because the people behind the counter know their name, they make them feel welcome, they respect them, they remember their order, all that kind of stuff. So it makes them feel kind of like part of a community or part of an interaction. Now, we could talk about some different kind of specific axes. I've given these in very general ways, but there's things you can look at for differentiation like technical performance. For example, a car that goes from 0 to 60 miles an hour faster than another one. You could look at the iPod, which plays music faster or better quality than another, for example. You could look at novelty or originality. Okay? It's something that people feel that if they buy it, they're going to get some sort of possibly a status symbol that nobody else has, or they're going to get some sort of a special benefit, some sort of special material benefit that no one else has. Maybe I don't know, like the best possible lawnmower that you can get, and it mows the lawn faster than any of the others, and it's the first kind to do that. You can look at reliability and solidity. You buy a product because you know it's going to last. You can look at look, design, and feel, and that could be tangible or intangible. How do you feel when you drive that Mercedes or Porsche? But it could also be something like, I'm a pretty bad driver. I might like something that I feel is a safe vehicle, okay, for me. It could be part of the buying experience. I remember years ago when I was in Paris with my parents, and this was of course when France was still on the franc and customer service still existed in France. My mom would go shopping for clothes, and my dad and I would sit there and they'd bring out champagne and give you chocolates while my mom was shopping. And we were good to go with that. So that's kind of a buying experience. And so they were trying to make sure that we were happy so that we would be more inclined not to bother mom about hurrying up and getting out of the store. Prestige, of course, and reputation both fit into branding. But again, certain brands have a certain prestige or reputation that goes with them. You buy the Porsche because you know that it's quality. You buy the Porsche because it's got a certain reputation. You buy it because everybody else on the block has one. You can look at things like pre-sales and post-sale services. So for, I know for Mac, I think they will give you free service on the Mac for a year after you buy it. And that makes you feel like, wow, I know that at least in a year, the Mac should be as good as it was when I buy it. And I might consider buying that versus some less expensive PC that doesn't have a warranty. Could be things like user friendliness. A lot of people argue, and I can actually say this as well, I have an iPhone now, but I used to have a Zune to play my music. And Zune, in many ways, was a technically superior product. It was a Microsoft answer to the iPod, and it had an FM radio on it. I really liked it. But the thing that I hated about it is my thumbs could not quite punch the stuff, and I'd wind up punching 2 or 3 songs at the same time, messing it up in some major way. So for me, it wasn't as user-friendly of a product as was the Apple products. And of course, things can be customized. I was reading about a service now, we talk about differentiation, it's a lipstick service, and the person can go to this lipstick place, they'll meet one-on-one with a personal sales consultant. Again, that's more of a buying experience thing, but they'll meet one-on-one with a personal sales consultant. They will make a lipstick shade to perfectly match whatever it is you want. They'll mix it there in the store, they freeze it, put it in the mold, and then they give you the lipstick right there on the spot. It's a lipstick color made just for you. So these are all examples of differentiation. And by the way, certain industries and industry types will have different levels of potential for differentiation. So when you start looking at commodities, they have a very low potential of differentiation. And what I mean by commodities, I mean like agricultural commodities like milk, beef, grains, cement, granite, rock, uranium, gold. Okay, those have a very low potential for differentiation. Things like utilities, okay, your internet service, your electricity, your water. Banks generally also offer very, very similar products. They're not too different. Now, things like computers and domestic appliances might have a little bit more room for differentiation. Then we start talking about things like cars and fancy electronic appliances. They may be a little more differentiated. And probably the highest level of differentiation would be things like restaurants, fashion, furniture, housing. So what we're going to talk about in the next video is how we sustain a differentiation advantage, and we'll look at the supply and demand side of differentiation. I'm looking forward to seeing you then.